Max wasn't just any police dog. The 4-year-old Belgian Malinois had something special about him that went beyond his training. Officers in the Vancouver Police Department's K9 unit often joked that Max had a sixth sense. His handler, Officer James Chen, knew better than anyone that Max's intuition was something extraordinary. He picks up on things before they happen sometimes, Chen would tell the other officers. It's like he can sense danger before it materializes. Most of his colleagues would smile politely or roll their eyes when Chen wasn't looking. Max was undeniably good at his job, drug detection, suspect tracking, and search and rescue operations, but Chen's claims about the dog's premonitions were met with skepticism. What they didn't understand was the deep connection Chen had developed with Max over their 3 years together. Chen could read subtle changes in Max's behavior that others missed. The slight variations in his whines, the particular way his ears would perk up, or how his body would tense before something happened. Vancouver was preparing for its annual Filipino Heritage Festival, one of the largest celebrations of Filipino culture in Canada. The vibrant event drew thousands of attendees each year, filling streets with colorful parades, music, dancing, and food stalls serving traditional Filipino cuisine. This year's festival was expected to be the biggest yet, with community members eager to gather after several years of limited celebrations due to previous public health restrictions. Officer Chen and Max were assigned to routine security duty at the festival. It was meant to be a straightforward assignment: maintain visibility, ensure crowd control, and be ready to respond to any minor incidents. Nothing unusual was expected. The day before the festival, Chen and Max were walking the planned parade route, familiarizing themselves with the layout. Chen noticed something odd about Max's behavior. The dog was unusually tense, stopping repeatedly at a particular intersection where the main stage was being constructed. Max stood rigid, ears forward, eyes alert. He emitted a low whine, a sound Chen recognized as distress. "What is it, boy?" Chen asked, kneeling beside his partner. Max pawed at the ground and looked toward the road leading to the intersection. Chen followed his gaze but saw nothing out of the ordinary, just festival workers setting up decorations, sound systems, and barriers. "Come on, Max, there's nothing there," Chen said, gently tugging on the leash. But Max wouldn't budge. He barked sharply, once, twice, then looked up at Chen with what the officer could only describe as urgency in his eyes. Chen radioed in. "This is Officer Chen with K9 Unit. I'm at the main intersection of the festival route. Max is showing unusual behavior, possible security concern." The response came quickly from Sergeant Miller, Chen's supervisor. "What kind of behavior? What are you seeing?" "Nothing visible, sir. But Max is alerting to something. He's fixated on the road leading to the main stage." There was a pause before Miller responded, his voice carrying a hint of impatience. "Chen, we're stretched thin as it is. We can't allocate resources based on your dog acting weird. Unless you have something concrete, continue your patrol." "Sir, I really think that's enough, Chen. I know you think Max is special, but we need facts, not feelings. Continue your patrol and report anything tangible." Chen sighed as he put away his radio. He looked down at Max, who was still staring intently at the road. "I hear you, buddy," he said softly. "I just wish they would too." The evening before the festival, Chen couldn't shake his unease. After his shift ended, he returned to the festival grounds with Max, off duty. The site was mostly empty now, with just a few workers finalizing preparations for the morning. Max's behavior intensified. He pulled Chen toward the same intersection, barking more insistently now. Chen examined the area more thoroughly this time. The barricades, the nearby buildings, the road itself. Nothing seemed out of place. He approached one of the festival organizers, a woman named Maria, who was checking a list on her clipboard. "Excuse me," Chen said. "I'm Officer Chen with VPD. Has anyone reported anything unusual around this area?" Maria looked up, surprised. "No, nothing. Everything's going smoothly. We're all set for tomorrow." She glanced at Max, who was still agitated. "Is something wrong with your dog?" "He's sensing something," Chen said, immediately regretting his choice of words when he saw Maria's expression shift to polite skepticism. "Well, we've had all the proper safety inspections," Maria assured him. "The stage is secure. the electrical systems are up to code, and we have the permits for everything. What about traffic control for tomorrow? Which roads will be closed? Maria pointed to a map on her clipboard. This entire section will be pedestrian only from 8 a.m. until midnight. Barricades are already in place, as you can see. Chen nodded, looking at the solid barriers blocking vehicle access to the festival area. They seemed adequate, but Max's continued distress told him something was wrong. Would it be possible to add extra barricades? Chen asked. Maybe some concrete blocks at this intersection specifically. Maria frowned. That wasn't in the security plan. We'd need approval to change anything at this point, and honestly, everything's been triple-checked. I understand, Chen said. But my partner here is one of our best detection dogs, and he's clearly picking up on something. Maria's expression softened slightly. I can mention it to the committee head, but I can't promise anything. The festival starts in less than 12 hours. Please do, Chen said. And here's my card. Call me directly if you notice anything unusual. As they walked away, Chen felt Max's eyes on him. The dog seemed almost disappointed. I know, buddy, I'm trying. Chen decided to take his concerns up the chain of command one more time. He called Sergeant Miller directly. Miller here. Sir, it's Chen again. I'm still concerned about the festival site. Max is Chen, Miller cut in, his voice stern. We've been over this. The security plan is solid. We have officers assigned to all entrance points. The traffic division has approved the road closures. Unless you have specific intelligence about a threat, I need you to drop this. But sir, that's enough, Chen. I know you trust your dog, but we can't reallocate resources based on a dog acting strange. Get some rest. You're on duty at 0700 hours tomorrow. Chen hung up, frustration building. He looked down at Max, who was sitting at attention, eyes still fixed on the road. I believe you, Chen told him. I just don't know what you're trying to tell me. That night, Chen barely slept. He researched past incidents at cultural festivals, looking for patterns or potential threats. He found nothing specific that could justify his concerns to his superiors. Outside his apartment window, a steady rain began to fall over Vancouver, forecast to continue into the next day. The morning of the Filipino Heritage Festival arrived with gray skies and light rain. By 9 a.m., despite the weather, crowds were already gathering. Colorful umbrellas dotted the streets as attendees arrived, many dressed in traditional Filipino attire. The aroma of Filipino cuisine filled the air as food vendors fired up their grills. Chen and Max reported for duty at 7 a.m. as ordered. They were assigned to patrol the northern section of the festival, which included the main intersection that had so troubled Max the day before. When they approached the area, Max immediately became agitated again. His whines were more urgent now, and he kept pulling Chen toward the barricades at the road entrance. Chen radioed in again. This is Officer Chen. I'm at the north entrance, and Max is showing extreme distress signals. Request additional units to check the barricades. Dispatcher, Chen. All units are currently deployed according to the security plan. What specifically are you observing? Nothing visible yet, but Max is Officer Chen. A new voice cut in. It was Inspector Wilson, the overall security coordinator for the event. I understand you've been raising concerns based on your dog's behavior. We appreciate your vigilance, but the barricades have been checked this morning. Unless you have a specific threat to report, maintain your assigned patrol. Chen looked down at Max, who was now barking repeatedly at the barricade. Sir, with all due respect, something's wrong. Max has never acted this way without cause. Chen, Wilson's voice hardened. Your job is to follow orders. If you can't do that, I'll have to reassign you. Chen fell silent. He patted Max's head, whispering, I know, buddy, I know. The morning progressed without incident. The rain continued steadily, but it didn't dampen the festival spirit. By noon, the streets were packed with attendees enjoying performances, browsing craft stalls, and sampling food. The main stage near the intersection featured traditional Filipino dances, with performers in vibrant costumes moving to the beat of traditional music. Chen and Max continued their patrol, but Max's behavior only intensified as the day wore on. By early afternoon, he was pulling so hard on his leash toward the barricades that Chen had to use both hands to control him. Other officers had begun to notice. Some exchanged concerned glances, others openly mocked Chen's apparent inability to control his dog. "Maybe your wonder dog needs a refresher course in basic training," one officer commented as he passed by. Chen ignored the remarks. He knew Max. This wasn't disobedience. This was desperation. At 2:15 p.m., Chen decided to take matters into his own hands. He approached the festival's security office, where Maria was coordinating with other organizers. "Maria," he said urgently, "I need you to consider evacuating the area near the main stage." Maria looked up, startled. "What? Why would we do that? The main performances are about to start. I know how this sounds, but my dog is sensing something dangerous. Please, just move people away from that intersection for a while." Maria glanced at Max, who was still visibly distressed. "Officer Chen, we have thousands of people here. I can't disrupt the entire festival because your dog is acting weird." "Not the whole festival," Chen pleaded. "Just clear the area around that specific intersection. Move the crowd back 50 yards in all directions. Just for an hour." Maria shook her head. "I don't have the authority to do that, and frankly, without some kind of concrete threat, no one does." Chen's radio crackled. It was Sergeant Miller. "Chen, report to the command post immediately." Chen felt a sinking feeling in his stomach. He knew what was coming. At the command post, a converted RV parked at the edge of the festival grounds. Sergeant Miller was waiting with Inspector Wilson. Their expressions told Chen everything he needed to know. "Officer Chen," Inspector Wilson began, "I understand you've been approaching festival organizers directly with requests to evacuate areas of the festival." "Sir, this is completely unacceptable," Wilson continued. "You're causing unnecessary alarm and potentially undermining public confidence in our security measures." "Sir, with all due respect, Max has never been wrong. Something's going to happen at that intersection. I'm certain of it." Sergeant Miller sighed. "Chen, you're a good officer, but this has gone too far. I'm reassigning you to the command post for the remainder of your shift. Officer Patel will take over your patrol area with her canine." "And Max?" Chen asked, feeling a cold knot forming in his stomach. "Take him back to the canine facility. He's clearly distressed and not fit for duty today." Chen started to protest but realized it was futile. "Yes, sir, but please, at least increase security at the north entrance barricades." Wilson and Miller exchanged glances. "We'll have Officer Patel pay special attention to that area," Miller conceded. "Now go." With a heavy heart, Chen led Max away from the festival grounds. The dog resisted, trying to pull back toward the intersection, whining desperately. "I know, buddy, I believe you," Chen said softly. "But they won't listen." Instead of taking Max directly to the canine facility as ordered, Chen made a decision. He took Max to his personal vehicle parked several blocks away and placed him in the back seat. "Stay here," he instructed. "I'll be right back." Chen jogged back to the festival perimeter. Staying out of sight of the command post, he found a position where he could observe the northern intersection, the one that had so troubled Max. It was now 3:25 p.m. The rain had intensified, but the crowd remained enthusiastic. The main stage was in full swing, with a popular Filipino dance troupe performing to cheers and applause. The area was packed with spectators, many holding umbrellas, creating a colorful mosaic against the gray sky. Chen scanned the perimeter. He could see Officer Patel with her German Shepherd at the northwest corner, but she was focused on checking bags at the entrance, not watching the barricades themselves. At 3:32 p.m., Chen noticed something unusual. A dark blue sedan was approaching the barricades slowly, its wipers fighting against the heavy rain. It stopped about 20 yards from the barriers, just idling there. Chen's police instincts kicked in. He focused on the vehicle, a late-model Toyota with tinted windows. He couldn't see the driver clearly through the rain-streaked windshield. Chen reached for his radio to alert Officer Patel, then remembered he was supposed to be back at the canine facility. If he used his radio now, he'd reveal his insubordination. Instead, he took out his cell phone and dialed Patel's number directly. "Patel," she answered over the sound of the crowd. Mira, it's James Chen. There's a blue Toyota sedan watching the barricades at the north entrance. Something doesn't feel right. Chen, aren't you supposed to be? Just check it out, please, Chen urged. Now, I can barely hear you over this crowd, Patel replied. What kind of car? Before Chen could repeat himself, he saw the blue sedan suddenly accelerate. It was heading straight for the barricades. Car, incoming, Chen shouted into the phone. Blue Toyota approaching the north barricades at speed. He dropped the phone and started running toward the intersection, waving his arms and shouting warnings. But his voice was drowned out by the music and the crowd. The sedan hit the barricades at full speed. The temporary barriers, designed to stop casual entry but not a determined vehicle assault, gave way immediately. The car continued into the crowded festival area, accelerating as it headed toward the densest part of the crowd near the main stage. Chen watched in horror as the vehicle plowed into the crowd. Screams replaced music. People scrambled to escape, but the packed area left little room to maneuver. The car finally came to a stop after crashing into the side of the stage structure. Chaos erupted. The injured lay scattered across the rain-soaked pavement. Others were trying to help them or fleeing in panic. The music had stopped abruptly, replaced by shouts, cries, and the wail of approaching sirens. Chen rushed to the scene, showing his badge to push through the crowd. He radioed for all available medical assistance, his earlier insubordination forgotten in the crisis. Multiple casualties at the main stage, he reported. Vehicle attack through the north barricades. Need all available medical units immediately. As first responders converged on the scene, the full scope of the tragedy became clear. 11 people had been killed instantly, with dozens more injured, many critically. The attack had targeted the heart of the festival at its busiest moment. The hours that followed were a blur of emergency response, witness statements, and grief. The driver of the vehicle, a 32-year-old man with a history of mental health issues and online manifestos expressing hatred toward immigrant communities, was taken into custody at the scene. Chen worked tirelessly alongside his colleagues, helping to coordinate the medical response and secure the area. Nobody mentioned his earlier warnings or his presence at the scene when he should have been elsewhere. It was nearly midnight by the time Chen made it back to his car. Max was still there, subdued now but alert. When Chen opened the door, Max didn't jump out immediately. He just looked at his handler with those knowing eyes. "You tried to tell us," Chen said, his voice breaking. "You knew and none of us listened." The next day, as the city reeled from the tragedy, the investigation began in earnest. Chen was summoned to meet with Chief Williams, the head of the Vancouver Police Department. He expected a reprimand for disobeying orders, possibly even suspension. Instead, when he entered the chief's office, he found not only Chief Williams, but also Mayor Singh and several senior officers. Their expressions were grave. "Officer Chen," the chief began. "I understand you tried to warn us about this attack." Chen nodded. "Not the specifics, sir. Just that Max was alerting to something dangerous at that intersection. He had been trying to warn us since the day before. And no one listened," the chief said quietly. "We had no concrete evidence," Chen admitted. "Just Max's behavior. I understand why it was dismissed." Mayor Singh leaned forward. "Officer Chen, I've reviewed the radio transcripts and spoken with the festival organizers. You tried to raise the alarm multiple times. If we had heeded your warning, lives might have been saved." "Max was the one who knew," Chen said. "I just trusted him." "Tell us more about Max's behavior," one of the senior officers requested. "What exactly did you observe?" Chen described in detail how Max had focused on that specific intersection, his increasing distress, and his desperate attempts to alert Chen and others to the danger. "It wasn't just normal dog anxiety," Chen explained. "Max is trained to alert to specific threats, explosives, drugs, hidden suspects. This was different. He knew something was wrong with that specific location." The room fell silent as they absorbed this information. Finally, Chief Williams spoke. "The press is asking questions about whether this attack could have been prevented. The truth is, we had a warning system we chose to ignore." He looked directly at Chen. "I owe you an apology, Officer Chen, and we all owe one to Max." "What happens now, sir?" Chen asked. "First, no disciplinary action will be taken regarding your decision to remain at the scene after being ordered to leave. In fact, your presence there helped with the immediate response. The chief continued. Second, I'm establishing a new protocol for our canine units. When a handler reports unusual behavior from a trained dog, especially one with Max's record, it will be taken seriously and properly investigated. Mayor Singh added, the city will also be reviewing our security protocols for public events. Those temporary barricades were clearly inadequate. After the meeting, Chen walked through the police headquarters with a mix of emotions. Vindication offered little comfort in the face of such tragedy. As he passed the break room, he overheard officers talking. They say Chen's dog tried to warn everyone, one officer was saying. Kept freaking out at exactly where the car came through. You believe that? Dogs can't predict the future, another scoffed. I don't know, man. My grandmother had a dog that would start barking hours before earthquakes hit. Animals sense things we don't. Chen continued walking, not wanting to join the conversation. He headed to the canine facility where Max had spent the night. When he entered, Max immediately perked up, tail wagging. Hey buddy, Chen said, kneeling to embrace his partner. You did good, you did everything right. We're the ones who failed. In the days that followed, the story of Max's unheeded warnings spread throughout the department and eventually to the media. The narrative resonated with people, the faithful dog who tried to alert his human counterparts to danger, only to be dismissed. A memorial service was held for the victims 1 week after the attack. As Chen stood at attention with other officers, he noticed something unexpected. Max had been included in the official police presence, standing at Chen's side in full police canine regalia. After the ceremony, Chief Williams approached Chen. The department is establishing a new position, he said. Advanced Threat Detection Specialist. It would involve working with our canine units to better understand and interpret their alerts, especially the non-standard ones. Like Max's warnings, Chen said. Exactly, we want you to head it. Your connection with Max, your willingness to trust his instincts even when faced with skepticism, that's what we need. Chen looked down at Max, who was sitting at perfect attention, seemingly understanding the gravity of the conversation. We'll do it, Chen said. But only if the first lesson is that we listen to them, even when what they're telling us doesn't make conventional sense. Agreed, the chief said, extending his hand. 6 months after the tragedy, Chen and Max stood before a class of police officers and their canine partners. The newly established Advanced Threat Detection Unit was holding its first training session. The most important thing to understand, Chen told the assembled officers, is that our partners here aren't just tools. They're not just trained to respond to specific commands or detect specific substances. They perceive the world differently than we do. He gestured to Max, who sat calmly beside him. Dogs have sensory capabilities that far exceed our own. They can detect subtle changes in scent, minute variations in behavior, even shifts in electromagnetic fields that we're completely blind to. What we've been missing is not their ability to alert us, it's our ability to listen. One of the officers raised a hand. But how do we distinguish between a dog just being anxious or distracted and an actual threat alert? That's exactly what this program is designed to teach, Chen responded. It starts with developing a deeper connection with your partner, learning their unique communication style, recognizing patterns in their behavior that might indicate different types of concerns. Another officer spoke up. With all due respect, Officer Chen, isn't there a risk of false alarms? We can't evacuate a public event every time a dog acts strangely. Chen nodded. Absolutely, we're not suggesting blind faith. What we're developing is a nuanced system of verification protocols. If a dog shows signs of detecting a potential threat, we have specific steps to investigate further before escalating to disrupting public events. As the training session continued, Chen outlined the new approach being implemented. It included standardized documentation of unusual canine behavior, cross-verification with other dogs when possible, and a rapid response assessment team that could evaluate potential threats without causing public alarm. During a break, one of the veteran canine handlers approached Chen privately. I've been working with dogs for 15 years, he said. And I've had experiences like yours with Max, times when my dog was trying to tell me something important, and I couldn't figure out what it was until too late. I just wanted to say, it's about time we started taking this seriously. Chen nodded gratefully. That's why we're here, to make sure those warnings don't go unheard again. Later that evening, Chen took Max for a walk along the seawall overlooking Vancouver's harbor. The spring air was crisp, and the setting sun cast a golden glow over the water. "You know what the hardest part is, Max," Chen said quietly, knowing his partner was listening even if he couldn't respond in words. "Knowing that you were trying so hard to warn us, and we just couldn't understand." Max looked up at him with those intelligent eyes that seemed to hold so much understanding. "But that's changing now," Chen continued. "Because of you, we're learning to listen better. Those 11 people, we can't bring them back. But their legacy will be a whole new way of working with partners like you." Max nudged Chen's hand with his nose, as if offering comfort. As they continued their walk, Chen reflected on the lessons learned from the tragedy. It wasn't just about police procedures or security protocols. It was about something more fundamental: the hubris of humans believing they alone could perceive threats, and the failure to recognize that other species might detect dangers invisible to human senses. The Advanced Threat Detection Unit was already garnering interest from police departments across North America. Chen had been invited to speak at conferences, and research institutions were reaching out to collaborate on studying the predictive capabilities of working dogs. But for Chen, the most important outcome was much simpler. Officers were learning to trust their partners, to listen when they were trying to communicate, even when that communication didn't fit neatly into their training parameters. A year after the attack, a memorial was unveiled at the site of the tragedy. Alongside the names of the 11 victims was a bronze statue, a Belgian Malinois in alert posture, ears forward, attention fixed on an unseen threat. The plaque beneath it read, "In memory of those lost on April 15, 2024, and in honor of Max, who tried to warn us, may we always remember to listen to those who speak without words." Chen stood before the memorial with Max at his side. They had both been given medals of valor by the city, an unprecedented honor for a police dog. But the real honor was in the changes being implemented, the lives that would be saved because of a new willingness to listen. "You know what, Max?" Chen said, looking down at his partner. "I think they're finally starting to understand what you've been trying to tell us all along." Max's tail wagged once, and he looked up at Chen with those knowing eyes, eyes that seemed to see things humans couldn't, that understood threats before they materialized. In that moment, the bond between them felt like the most natural form of communication in the world. As they walked away from the memorial, Chen reflected on the simple but profound lesson from their experience. Sometimes, wisdom comes in forms we don't expect, through voices we're not trained to hear. And sometimes, the most important thing we can do is simply trust and listen when others try to warn us, especially those whose senses might perceive what ours cannot. For Max had taught them all that the ability to detect danger doesn't always come wrapped in human logic or expressed in human language. Sometimes, it comes in a bark, a whine, or the urgent pull of a leash, signs that might seem insignificant until it's too late. And the most valuable lesson of all, when those we trust try to warn us of danger, even if we don't understand the warning, we should never be too quick to dismiss it. For in that dismissal lies the seed of tragedy, and in that listening lies the promise of prevention. The end.